Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Formula 1 2017 F2 Sprint Series here at Apex Online Racing. My name is King-Kodiak and I will be your commentator throughout these evening's races, plural as there are two of them in this series. And we are currently witnessing the one-shot qualifying session that determines the grid for race 1. And the top 8 of that grid are reversed. Oh no, beg your pardon, sorry, the race results of race 1 are reversed for the start of grid 2. 9th and downwards remain as they are. You can see the names switching around on the right hand side. Of course, each car is only visible, only one car is visible at a time. Around the streets of Singapore, everyone would seem to be on the ultra soft tyres, which would not at all be surprised. And yes, there we are, we can see that. Whoops! That's Rick Vega. He's unfortunately lost it and slammed it into the wall. Let's head through our drivers. We have got, and oh dear, Temple 1 has also retired. Has he had a problem? Oh, he's overshot it. I need to bring up my map. And unfortunately, I'm having a little bit of trouble again getting the stream up and running, but I'm recording this nonetheless, so it will go up later on. Apologies, the waiting message is going up. That is me trying to sort the stream out. If I cannot do so, then unfortunately it will just be a recording, which I will do post-event. Now, Rick Vega's been disqualified from the session, as has Temple of 1. Now that is interesting. Unfortunately, I've lost my sound. That's never helpful. Wow, that was quick. That is the nature of one-shot qualifying. Timp was the one that stuck it on pole by 0.2 of a second. Over Smede's detainable 3, Hayden 4, Cozzy 5, Kalon 6th, Difabe, I think that's pronounced, in 7th, Pox in 8th, Cole in 9th, and Rienk rounds out the top 10. And actually, that's probably because the bottom 3 didn't set a time. That's probably why they were deemed as disqualified. They will still race, of course, but they will not have a time. And I have sound again. Whoop. Okay. So now we head down to the grid for race number 1 of round 2 here on the streets of Singapore. This also provides an opportunity for drivers from several of our standard splits for the normal season 14, which at time of recording will be tomorrow at 8 PM UK time. It gives an opportunity for a slightly different format. Like I say, it's 2 sprint races as opposed to one 50% race. Both of these races are 25% in length. It gives an opportunity for several drivers to race against one another. But here we go. Wind them up and let them go. Now, of course, the names I'm familiar with are in different cars to what I'm used to seeing them in. Oh, that's the Williams of Smede's trying to dive on the inside of Timp. Doesn't quite maintain it. Timp holds on to that lead then with that's detainable in 3rd position. We got, oh goodness me, trouble at the back there. Cozzy got squashed against the wall, I think, in the McLaren. As Kalon's fallen to the back. He is someone I'm familiar with. I thought I couldn't actually see a driver helmet in his car, which was slightly interesting. So trouble for Kalon early on, and look at that, a dive on the inside, heading down to, I think that's turn 10. We've got another trouble. Is that Temple of 1 that's in trouble now? Oh no! He's had trouble against the wall, lost his front wing, and he is down to the back of the field in the Renault. Oh, he's going to have to limp back to the pits in a 25% race. That is absolutely disastrous. As Defabi in the Sauber loses the position to the McLaren of Lazzaro, beg your pardon. Rienke has lost a position as well. It is all going off here, there and everywhere, but Timp is really getting into his stride now, breaking away from Smege, who's in the Williams, who's got a rear wing full of Toro Rosso. Actually, both Toro Rossos, Detainable and Hayden, staying right with him. And there you saw in the background, there's the other Williams of Coldo, just coming through the shard. Whoa, that's Hayden going very, very deep. That's going to lose him. Oh, beg your pardon, that was Detainable that was going deep. That's got his teammate all over his tail. There is Hayden, and Rick Vega in the Mercedes has got past the Force India of Pox. You can see Rienk is slipping down the order as well on the Red Bull. Goodness me, he is not having a good time at all. as Tim has crossed the line. You can see 15 laps in this particular race. As now he's built up a gap of 1 second. So when the DRS kicks in, he is already out of the DRS range of Smeege. Trouble in sector 3, and we've lost Temple of 1. Oh no, he's overcooked it. That is, I think that's coming into 14 and smashed into the wall. He is out. Riank and Kalon both in the pits after their damage. Defabi and Kozi have swapped position. And with these shorter races, the field obviously stays condensed for a greater percentage of the race. That is from Riank's perspective, from Defabi's perspective rather. He's chasing Kozi. Goodness me, a long time in the pit for Kalon and Riank, of course, having that front wing change. Oh, there is every time I look at Kalon's car, it doesn't look like the helmet in the cockpit, which looks very unnerving. I thought for a second Tim was actually warming his tyres. He wasn't. He was just taking a good line through that very tight turn 13, or turn 13, as I nearly said that. 1.6 seconds now is his lead over Smeege. Detainable is hanging on to that third position, trying to keep the pressure on. We've lost Lazzaro. I assume he's now ghosted. He is. We have lost Lazzaro from the race. He is down in. He was down in 10th, and Temple of 1 has left the session, as I can understand. So let's jump up to Detainable in third position. And the Toro Rosso getting that tail very, very out wide. So the only reason you would really pit in these races is if the weather changes, which is of course highly unlikely, or if you have a problem. And Tim setting the fastest lap. Tim is a front runner in the top split that I normally commentate on a Sunday evening. Like I said before, this league is open to all drivers of our regular splits. Ooh, again, Detainable getting very sideways. Hayden is trying to keep up with him. He's lost a little bit of time, now 9/10 down. Calder, you can see in the background, has got Rick Viga all over his tail as the ghost of Lazzaro has come into the pits. That Mercedes looks like he's trying to size up a move on the Williams. It being a 25% race, they really don't have long to get the job done. They now come through. It's easy to lose track of where they are, unfortunately. That's the double right-hander coming to. It's not coming down towards the start finish line. Unfortunately, I've lost track of where they are as he's trying to keep up with them. He's keeping the pressure. Oh, goodness me, they get so close to the walls, which, of course, is the quickest way of doing it. Now, that's turn 13 they've just gone through, I believe. So down to where we've seen a few incidents already. There's that dreaded turn 14. You make a mistake in there, you're going straight off. As we saw Michael Schumacher do when he was driving for Williams a few years ago. Prox and Kozi have swapped position. Prox and the Force Indias have fallen through the field. We switch to their positions gained and lost. Rick Viga. Oh, goodness me. That's a big old chunk of front wing missing from the Force India out. Now you can see the end plate on the right hand side has gone as he kicked the tail out too much. And Caldo is in the Williams. Oh dear, One would assume there's a nose going on that particular car. You can't really see from that angle whether there's any elements missing. No, just a straight tyre change. Prox is in, as we saw him just bounce off the wall. Rick Viga is having a great race then, up 8 positions now, up to 5th. He's got a big gap to gain to Hayden though, but if he manages to close the 5 seconds ahead of him in the next, what will be 10 laps, or 12 laps rather, he will have both of the Toro Rossos in short succession, as Hayden is still within a second of his teammate. There they go. As they now come through. That's the early part of the lap, I believe. So, there's 23 corners in this particular circuit. There's a lot of them, and look at that. Oh, again, the tail of that Toro Rosso just not wanting to stick. One of those moments as a driver that would just make you kind of hold your breath and hope that you can get through it without bouncing off the wall. Let's check out where Timp is. There he is in the McLaren. He's out of DRS range, but oh dear, a 3-second penalty for Riank. There's not many corners you can cut that don't have a wall on the outside of them, but there are a few. Ooh. And again, the drivers are pushing that hard. You have to use every available inch of the track as Tim now comes in for his pit stop, and Smeed comes through to take the lead. Detainable goes through, and Hayden as well. So he's burnt up the best of those ultra soft tyres. We've seen them last only a few laps before. Hayden gets himself a 3-second penalty as well. And straightforward pit stop for the McLaren team onto the super softs. It's the only choice really to have. And he is going to come out in 6th position, it would seem, as that is at Defabe that's gone through. Rick Vigo's a little bit too far down to claim the McLaren. I was wondering if you were going to see him in the background of the shot. Not quite. Ah, that's right, because Rick Vigo's gone through the pits himself. Donned his super soft tyres, and he will emerge in 8th position. It's not going to be too far back from AOR Coldo. Ooh, it's a little bit too far. Too wide on the exit of the pit lane, but he continues nonetheless. Now, if we switch to... No, that's not the one I'm looking for. Yes, it is. That one. This is the one I was looking for. Crikey, we've got Pox on the soft tyres. Very surprising to see someone actually running those yellow marked tyres in this race, but that is what we have. Smeed continues to lead the way. Oh, again, you saw that little bit of a lock-up as the end of the decent life of these ultra soft tyres is looming. Through that underpass. Oh, again, getting very, very slippery as he's now coming to the end of the lap. Does he come in? He doesn't. I wonder if he's pushing those ultra softs a little bit too hard. Did Detainable come in? Yes, he did. Oh, and nearly hit the wall. On his way in then, so the Toro Rosso is in this time. Hayden had no choice. He couldn't come in at the same time, otherwise he would have had to stack behind his teammate. No front wing available for him, so straight tyres and the usual animation going slightly wonky. Now he comes, and he's going to come out. Defabe is coming as well for the Sauber team. Where is Detainable going to come out? In 5th position, and Coldo is now going to have a 3-second penalty. These will of course apply after the race is done. So depending on gaps between each car will dictate how painful those penalties are. Of course, the shorter the race, the more painful the penalty becomes. Faber is going to come out just behind Kalon. Kalon, of course, pitting very early on due to issues on the first lap. So, Smeed, we only have 4 Ultrasoft runners left. One of them is Lazzaro, who has left the race, unfortunately. Is that Rienk? It is! Oh dear, the race is getting very bad for 12th place Rienk. Oh, has overcooked it, or has chosen to get out of the way at that point. I think he's overcooked it, though, into turn 14. Oh, beg your pardon, that's not 14. That was 20, I think. 19 or 20. It's actually been a very long time since I last commentated here in Singapore, so having to reacclimatise myself to the visual cues. That was actually turn 16, I think, where Rian came off, and he's coming in the pit again. He's already been in once, I think, so a pretty disastrous race for him. And Smeed and Hayden are both in, and they're swapping places. There's Smeed. Sorry, there's Smeed, beg your pardon. Tim has crossed the line to take the fastest lap, and of course he's going to retake the lead of the race. But did Smeed gain some time or lose time as a result? I think he lost time, because I think it was only 1.5 seconds between Smeed and Tim before the pit stops, and Smeed's now finding himself 4.2 behind. Now race leader Tim with Detainable right on his tail, which is pretty much where they left off. But Hayden's 3 seconds down. That's not worked out for him at all, as Rienk is still in the pits. Oops, that's Temple 1. He's retired. Now Rienk is out back on the Ultrasoft tyres. Let's see if he's able to do anything from there. Smeed is... Oh, you saw Detainable at the top of the shot, getting what looked like him very, very squirrely. It looks like he's having a bit of traction issue in that Toro Rosso at the moment, but we'll see if he's able to keep that under control. Such a great circuit, this, from a spectator standpoint. They now head down towards turn 14 again. That's just 0.6 of a second between Detainable and Smeej now. Does look like Smeej, of course, him being on those tyres for a couple of laps longer. He is familiar already with where to brake and what have you. A bit of a lock up there for the Williams, but it won't have cost him a great deal. Through 20 and 21. Oh, goodness me. And 22, 23 to complete the lap for Smeej. And 4.5 seconds is the McLaren of Tim's lead. Absolutely stunning. Oh, and Detainable now gives himself a penalty, as we have hit the halfway point in this race. Tim 1, Smeej 2, Detainable 3. Detainable now 1.5 seconds down from Smeej, as Rick Viga is going himself a penalty as well, who is actually very, very close. He's pushing hard on his own teammate there, on Kozzy, for 6th position. On board then with Rick Viga. You can just see from that perspective how close they get to the wall. It is pretty close. As you can imagine, they come. Oh, and again he's pushed it too hard, gone slightly too wide. And now Hayden's got himself a penalty. There's going to be very few people without penalties at this rate. And because he looks like he's got a bit of momentum over his teammate at the moment, he's certainly able to keep him behind. This is one of these tracks, much like Monaco, where you've got to practice very, very extensively, because one mistake can be there. No sooner do I talk about mistakes that Rick Viga pushes that a little bit too hard. The back end does not want to stick, and he has now lost a couple of seconds as Kalon picks up a penalty as well. Kalon in 8th position. There he is in the Red Bull. The race has not been to his favour. Back up to the top then as Tim starts lap 9. That's right on board with the McLaren. So 1, 2, 3. Slight kink of 4. Semi-quick right-hander. I say semi-quick because a lot of these turns of right-handers are very, very slow. Then the slight turn of 6. Now into 7. Don't take too much curb, it will spit you out. Right-hander of 8. It's actually been turn 8 where a lot of people have been struggling. I've been saying it's been 14. Now, right, left-hander of 9. You can actually see, I think that could be Lazzaro that he's just seen. 10, 11 and 12. And then the very sharp, slow left-hander of 13 onto Esplanada Drive, as it's called. Yep, that is indeed Lazzaro. There's 14. Slight kink of 15. Then the right-left 16, 17. Of course, Tim can drive straight through Lazzaro, which he does. And 18, 19, 20, 21. And then back home for the double apex left-hander. 22, 23. For the lap. That was a lap on board with the McLaren of Tim. Did he set the fastest lap as a result? No, we didn't. Detainable is now 1.7 down from Smeed. He's losing a bit of time on the Williams, but still a few laps to go. The gap is not insurmountable, so we'll see if he is able to close that down. Hayden is now 3.6 down from Detainable, and struggling to keep up with his teammate. Caldo 8.7 down on the Williams, with the Mercedes. Was the Mercedes duo behind, but we were on board with Rick Viga when he had trouble. Kicked the tail out a little bit too far and fell off the back of his teammate. You can see the three of them in that shot. 1.2 separates Caldo and Kozzy. 2 seconds near enough is Kozzy to Rick Viga. And Pox is in the pit again in that Force India. Is this just a standard tyre stop? I'd be surprised, but and it's another new nose then for Pox. Ultra soft tyres may as well. You've got 6 laps to do. so may as well. Still points in the offering, so, and you never know what could happen to those ahead. Cozzy is now less than a second behind the Williams. On board with the Mercedes then, they come down the Esplanade Drive into turn 14. It's definitely a track that tests the physical fitness of our drivers, just through pure volume of turns, but how crucial and costly a mistake is here at Singapore. Oh, that downshift sounded awfully painful there from Cozzy. Oh, again the tail getting very lively on the Mercedes, but he is definitely closing in. As the ghost of Lazzaro comes into the pits again. DRS wide open on the Mercedes. Williams going onto that painted tarmac for a wider line into turn 1. Which is legal, but isn't the grippiest surface in the world. Oh, goodness me, that got very, very close. On board again with the Mercedes. Can he do something in deposition Coldo? Having a look at what's going to be the outside. Oh, very clean. Very nicely done. And it's... Oh, and the Williams is fighting back. We've got a yellow in Sector 2. It's Rick Viga. We can't actually see him behind the pole. He's spun. Oh dear, and my game has started to lag. I do apologise for that. Oh dear, oh dear. Terrible trouble is befalling me at the moment. And I do not know why. I don't know whether it's there's a problem with the connection between me and Rick Viga, but switching away seems to not repeat that. And as we looked away, we saw Coldo was fighting back against Cozzy, but it did look like the Mercedes had the pace over the Williams. And now nearly a second separates the two in Cozzy's favour. As we reach the closing stages of this particular round. It's the top 9 on the Supersoft tyres, the 3 at the back. One of which is a Ghost, of course. On the Ultra Softs. Why not? And they pitted quite late, so the Ultra Softs should last for them. So Tip with a 5.2 second lead over Smeej. Coldo, it's a little bit disheartening when you know you're pushing your hardest, doing your damnedest, hit your markers, hit your braking points, only to find that the guy in front is still pulling away from you. And another penalty then for Rick Viga. Oh no, Rick Viga is out. Oh dear. That's yeah, that's not going to do you any favours, unfortunately, Rick. So Rick is out of this race. What a shame. He's pushing that a little bit too hard and has introduced himself to the barrier. Oh, actually looked like, as we switched back to Tim, it actually looked like he was getting a bit of tail action. And again, we've got a yellow flag in Sector 1. That may well still be... Is that Rick Viga's? Yeah, Rick Viga's car's still there. So as Rink now gives himself another penalty. And now Rick Viga's car is gone. So yellow flag should disappear. So now down to 11 drivers. Well, technically 10, as Lazzaro had disconnected earlier on. That's what 2 seconds looks like in these cars. Smeed's doing his best to keep up with Tim. Let's see. No. There's the fastest lap, still being held by Tim with that 1:39 treble 8. The only man to break into that particular. Only the only man to break into the 1:39s. 2 and a bit laps to go. Williams is really beginning to close him in, though. A couple of 10s on last update, so Smeej could well get to a position to mount a challenge for the lead. As Rienk gets past Rick Vegan, where Rick Vega's stricken car was. And who is that someone ahead of Tim? It's on board with the McLaren. Nope, that's my eyes playing tricks on me. So from Smeed, who again, Smeed has closed down another couple of tenths rather, on the McLaren. Oh, again very close, and the tail just kicks out a little bit on the Williams. And what's the time? It is just over a second, so Smeed is now going to be within, at that rate, he's going to be within DRS range. There you just saw detainable actually at the back of the shot. Smeed, oh no, he gets himself a 3-second penalty. He's pushed too hard through that tight, twisty section 1, 2 and 3. Oh, he's going to be pretty sick with that one. He's pushing on nonetheless. He's lost a little bit of time on Tim through those corners. Less than 2 laps to go. But he's gained it back then. If he can stay within that crucial second gap when he's within the DRS detection zone, that will really help him close down Tim. He won't have much time to try and pull away from Tim enough to outweigh the penalty. I'm not entirely sure if Tim got himself a penalty. I don't want to look because of course we won't be able to see through the race director screen. On board again with the Williams, who has been reeling in that McLaren for the last few laps. Tim could be looking to take it easy, but he may not have that luxury if he wants to take the win in this round. He definitely will not have the luxury of being able to coast with Smeed so close. As of course Tim is aware that Smeed has just got himself a penalty. Just 4 tenths now separates the two. Oh, so close as we now come around to start the final lap of this first round of Singapore. Coldo now adding his name to, or adding another penalty onto the board. And you heard that ping. That is, I believe that is for DRS. Well, it would have been, there probably was the DRS closing. Now Smeed is really in a position to challenge, but he does not have many opportunities left. And there he goes. Oh no, you look to take the inside line, but was a little bit too far back to mount an opportunity. Oh, a mount a charge rather. And now coming through. And again, so close. Just 3 tenths separates the two. Not even a car length between them. Oops. And again on board with Tim, with Smeed rather. Oh, Tim was a little bit slow going through that particular section, but Smeed could not use his extra pace. There was no way to pass through those corners. You see Smeed looked like he tried to take a wider exit. Now is a great opportunity, and probably the last opportunity he's got, save for Tim making a big mistake into turn 14, and again he's not close enough. Locks up as he comes through that turn. Now the kink of 15, no braking zone there, 16. And oh, so close again. Tim just parking his car on the apex. No way through there as Prox gets himself a penalty as well. This must be so frustrating for Smeed. He's got the pace, and you can see he's overdriving the car now as the tail didn't want to stick through the last few corners. You know we're going to throw it on the inside there. But Tim is going to take, unless he throws it in the wall now. And you can hear the fireworks going off. Tim takes the win. Smeed did have that 3-second penalty, and Tim didn't have one as well. So Detainable comes across the line in third. There he is, 2.8 down. Hayden, even with his penalties, comes across the line in fourth. Where is Cozzy? There he is. The fireworks setting the track aglow. He's having to wiggle to himself, and why the devil not? 5th place goes to Cozzy. 6th is AOR Coldo in the second Williams. Kalon, after a disastrous first lap, has managed to salvage 7th from this race. Defabe is quite a way down still, so quite a bit of track still to cover. He comes into 18-19. Being a little bit cautious in the Sauber. Oh, even still ends up going very, very close to the wall. So that is 8th position then to Defabe. Again, I apologise if I am not pronouncing that name correctly. Porks in the Force India. Rink has crossed the line. A lap down there is the ghosted McLaren of Lazzaro, who will trundle across the line in his own time. Porks is the last man driving the track. Ooh, what could have been for Porks. Had to pit early on. 4 tyres, for a nose rather. He's been through the pit twice, as has to the ghost of Lazzaro. And that rounds out the first race here at Singapore. So we'll get a confirmation of the final standings in a moment. And we're going to jump to the podium celebrations. And there they are then. It's not often you see the McLaren name on the top spot, but there it is. Tim happy with that. And we'll obviously look to repeat that in tomorrow's Split 1 race. So let's head on to the final confirmation of the positions. There they are. Tib 1, Smeege 2, Detainable 3, Hayden 4, Cozzy 5, Calder 6, Kalon 7, Defabi 8, Pox 9, and Rank rounds out your top 10. Right, what is now going to happen here, ladies and gentlemen, is we'll be moving on to the second race, which will mean that positions 1 to 8, so Tim, Smeege, Detainable, Hayden, Cozzy, Caldo, Kalon and Defabi will start in reverse order of their finishing position. So Defabi will start on the pole spot, Kalon 2, Calder 3, etc, etc, and 9th downwards will start in the positions that they finished in. So we could well see quite a lot of early overtaking, but Singapore is notoriously hard to overtake at. So do bear with us, and we'll be back with you as soon as we can.
What? Can everyone fuck off listening to me? Just don't listen to me. Just everyone just stop listening.
Okie dokie, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting race number 2 underway. For those catching up with the stream, apologies for the trouble that we have had, but as you can see, it is now up and running. So just putting my windows back into place. That's what the pause on the sound was. Race number 2 then is going to be underway very, very shortly. I appreciate the offer there, Brendan, but the lag between what you can see, because I didn't spot your messages in time, I was fighting with the stream to get up and running. As you're watching from there, the delay is quite big, so it would make commentary from your side pretty difficult. But I appreciate the offer, and we'll bear you in mind for next time if you're available. Right, we've got 11 drivers this time. We've lost a couple from the last race, but here we go then. The grid will be set manually before this race is beginning. And here it is then. So Defabe is going to start from the pole then. 5 lights, wind them up and let them. Wait for it. And away they go. Kalon then looking to try and capitalise. Look at the start. King-Kodiak. Goodness me, the Williams. He had a belter. He's going to try and go through the middle. That's very, very tight. He's tangling with the Red Bull. And that didn't quite go his way. Oh my goodness me! And that's Defabe in the wall. Not a great start for him. That's Cozzy in the Mercedes falling through the field. Big lump of wing missed from the Sauber that we saw there. Goodness me! Jumping up to the top, then Kalon and Koldo having a battle. There they are, side by side, heading down into turn 7. And both Williams in very, very close together. That's Timp, you saw, race winner from the first round. Oh my goodness me, he's getting very, very close. We've got a problem. That's Poix, and Poix is out. Oh no, that's the exit of turn 7. Again, that turn has claimed someone. Poix not even making it to the end of the first lap. Kalon then doing what he can to hang on to the lead. Here in lap 1, Williams, Goldo and Smeeds 2 and 3, Timp right there, 4 trying to go on the inside of that tight 13, doesn't quite work. He's on the ultra soft. We've got quite a few people starting on the super soft tyres, interestingly, and that's too deep. That is too deep for Timp. He couldn't slow it down. He's going to lose a whole bucket load of time. Oh goodness me, that is not going to pay off for him. Down in 9th now. He's away, and there's the stricken Mercedes of Cozzy. Oh, there was a bit of debris there on the ground. Has someone had trouble further up the field? We will see. Kalon then leads by 1.3 seconds over Koldo, who's got his teammate slightly further behind, half a second down. And Detainable is the same again behind us. Oh, Hayden's in trouble. Oh no, Hayden's in the pits. Oh, what a shame. He started on the ultra soft tyre. Even those tyres last longer than that. So he is going to jump onto those super soft tyres. A new front wing going on that car. I suspect there's going to be a lot of that. And there's Timp jumping into the pits as well. No nose for the McLaren. So he's of course going to come out ahead of Hayden. He's ditching those ultra soft pronto. So I wouldn't think the super softs are going to last quite that long, but we will see. That's Defabe, our pole sitter, side by side with the Red Bull of Rienk. Doesn't quite get the move finished, and well defended then by the Red Bull. They continue on their way. They're 6 seconds down from Rick Viga, who is at the back of this particular 5-car train containing himself, Detainable, Smeege, Koldo. Kanon's 1.7 ahead of this train, and he's having a look on the inside of 13 again. That particular move didn't work well for Timp. Well, it was, to be fair, it was the move into this corner that went very badly for Timp last time around. So keeping the pressure on the Toro Rosso of Detainable. He really needs to be clear of the 2 super soft runners ahead of him. Oh, again, very close to the wall. Smeeds Detainable. He wants to be ahead of them because he was going to have to pit very, very soon. We saw people pitting on lap 4 to get rid of those ultra soft tyres, and of course he's not going going to be able to capitalise on the extra grip he's got, being stuck behind. Toro Rosso saying that though, Kanon was getting the fastest lap. He didn't get much of a lead over Coldo that last lap around. It was around about 1.7 last time. And Rick Viga is trying anything he can to get more traction and get past the Toro Rosso ahead. Oh, that's just so close to get on board with the Mercedes. Detainable had a decent run out of the previous turn, which has left the Mercedes a little bit stranded. Slows it down in time. There's turn 7. Smeege is falling into the clutches of Detainable as Cozzy Timp in the pits again. Oh my goodness me, what happened with Timp? He's now having a nose cone change. Should he have had that done last time around? That is his race pretty much ruined. Cozzy you just saw going past in the Mercedes. That's strange. I was going to say, I have never seen that one. A car jumping straight to the start position from a pit stop. That's a new one. Jumping back to 5th place, Rick Viga. He still has yet to find a way past the Toro Rosso ahead. And he is... Oh my goodness me, that's not the way to do it. He's got himself a penalty and actually collects the Toro Rosso. Oh, what happened there? Did he just close in too much and try to take avoiding action? He has dutifully waited for the Toro Rosso to regain his position. He's going to try and keep reeing behind him. But again, I would expect to see Rick Viga in the pits pretty soon. Canon again get another fastest lap. He's got himself a couple of tenths over Coldo this time around. Smeege is still in DRS range of Coldo. And where's Detainable? Oh, Detainable's gone in. Detainable has come in then. And again, this is about where we started seeing Ultrasoft pit stops last time around. Yeah, I say last time around, the last round. And Defabe is coming as well. There he is. So both of them pitting in sync. Jump up to Kanon, who's still leading the race. Now has 3-second lead. So Coldo has made a mistake somewhere, and he's in the clutches of his teammate. And Rick Viga's going to have another penalty. He's really determined to try and rack him up. Oh dear, we've got trouble. This is Rick Viga again. Oh no. Oh, he's out trying to spin round. He's taking his suspension off. Oh no. That is the end of Rick's race. From 5th position, just come out of the pits. And that is his day done. Let's switch back to the Williams pairing then. Coldo on those Ultrasoft tyres needs to get away from Smeege. But of course we are going to expect Coldo to come in pretty soon. Yellow flag still out for the stricken Mercedes of Rick Viga. Oh, Timp, look at the amount of time he's lost. He's a minute down from... Is he still... Oh, Smeege has a... Oh dear. That's not the ideal way of entering the pits. That's interesting. I wasn't expecting to see Smeege in, him being on the super soft tyres on lap 5. Did not expect that at all. Is he having a front wing change as well? Let's just watch him come into his pit box. No, he doesn't. Well. That I find a little surprising, but Smeege getting Ultrasofts on. I'd be surprised if he hasn't got to come in again for tyres, but we'll see how he does. Rink is still quite a way behind. Rink is coming in as well, seeing an insane amount of pit stops. If we go to where the stops are, look at that. Timp has already had 2. Another front wing change, which is not really surprising with the nature of this track. And away he goes. So he's going to find himself in no man's land. There goes Defabe. You can see on the left of the shot. Timp is still 30 seconds down the road. Where is the McLaren? There he is, just going to come round the last turn, the last 2 turns, just as Rink leaves the pits. And Tim slams the fastest lap home, even on the super soft tyres. Was the car that little bit lighter. And there is Rink ahead of him, so at least Tim's got a bit of company back there. Now each car is fairly spaced out, with the exception of these two. This is actually the closest battle we have, and this is a battle for 7th. Kadon leads 4.9 over Caldo. We expect to see those guys in pretty soon. Smeed is 25 seconds down. Smeed is not having a good day. And there's Caldo. Caldo comes in. I mean, Smeed is that far back. He'd probably come in and not have to stack. So Caldo is in. Kalon has chosen to continue, possibly pushing those ultras a little bit too far. What does Smeed choose to do? Caldo is out of the pit box, and Smeed has chosen to continue. So the two Williams will be fairly close. Where is Caldo? There he is. He's actually come out of the pit, and there goes the Williams of Smeed. Oops. Hayden has gone to have a penalty as well, so he's pushing to try and catch up time. He's gone wide on that last turn. There's Detainable in the background. And Detainable, 39.4. Well. Getting the best out of those Ultra Softs. Very nice lap time there. So Caldo then is now right with his teammate. And Timp is putting all the pressure on Rienk for 7th position. Ooh, it's pushing very, very hard indeed. DRS open on the McLaren. And remains in that 8th position at the moment. And now having a look, thinking about an inside move, but not a big enough braking zone. Rienk's gone wide. Tried to maintain the momentum, but Timp had the racing line coming through turn 5, through 6, and he's got the job done before he hits turn 7. So easy move then for for Timp as Kalon now comes in. Super Softs on the Red Bull. Will he maintain the lead, I wonder? Smeed is coming through that 18 through to 21 complex. And where is Kalon? He's going to be coming out of the pit. Smeed is not going to be past him. In fact, Smeed is not even going to be level with the pit lane. He's still pushing on with those ultra soft tyres. Caldo's now got himself a penalty. So Kalon maintains the lead post pit stop. What a race Kalon is having this time. It certainly didn't go his way last time around. Detaineable's getting pretty close to his teammate now. It's not going to be too long before Detainable is within DRS range. But how much longer can those tyres hold for? Has he been in already? Let's have a look. He has. The Ultra Soft do seem to die pretty quickly here. Smeed is... Let's just have a look. Keep an eye on Smeed as well. As he's a couple of seconds off the freshly reshod Kalon. So we're going to see whether the used Ultra Softs have any hope against the fresh Super Softs. I would doubt it, but let's see if Smeed can prove me wrong on that one. And there you just saw Caldo in the back of the shot. Gets very, very close to the barriers once more. Detainable is really getting close to his teammate. There they are. So they've just gone through 13. Heading on down to 14. It's a bit of a trouble spot last race. Rienk has got himself a penalty. Not going to help his case. Back there in 8th position. Ooh, again, very deep through that turn complex. Now coming through 18 through 21 again. On board with Detainable. That's what it looks like from his side. And again, he chooses to continue. So he is getting his money worth out of these ultra soft tyres. It's going to be a question of how much longer can they hang on for. Not going to have much of an opportunity into 5. Not big enough braking zone there. Oh my goodness me! It makes me just wince. They get so close to the wall. These guys know what they're doing. It may look very different from on board. Oh, that was a very last-minute jump as they come through 7. We saw a few retirements here in turn 8 in the last race. And there's the overhead shot showing the two Toro Rossos. Now it's good. Oh, we've got trouble. Who is it? who has had trouble in Sector 2. Is it Riek? Nope. I was keeping an eye on the timings to see who suddenly lost a lot of time, and it was even nobody did. Well, somebody obviously must have done, but we don't know who, I'm afraid. Jump out to Hayden. Let's see if he's able to hang on to the back of his teammate to any degree as they come through Espalandi Drive down to 14. Now Raffles Avenue. A slight kink of 15 now through 16, 17. Onwards through 18. Through to 21. And Smeeds this time, putting his name on the penalty board. And Caldo is in. That's surprising. Caldo's been in already once. And he's feeling the need to come in again. Front wing? Yes, it is. Another Williams wing. And we've lost Rick Vega. Oh, we lost Rick Vega a while ago. He's just left the session. Ultra soft tyres then on the Williams, as I would have thought. He's probably going to try and push those to the end. There's Defabe. There he is coming down the start finish straight. So Calder's going to have some company, and Timp is in again in the McLaren. I'm assuming he's going to do the same as far as tyres are concerned. Yes, he does. Front wing on the McLaren. Nope, just a tyre change. And then out comes Timp then. He's going to hope for trouble up ahead, as he's going to be quite some way down from Rienk. You can get away a little bit with crossing the line. 17 seconds down from Rienk, or 17 and a half seconds down. He is going to be pushing like a madman. Of course, that is ever more risky here in Singapore. Let's have a check in on where everybody is. There is Kanon, who has led for the vast majority of this race. Coming across the line to start lap 10. Within 2 seconds behind him is Smeege. In the Williams, I'm surprised how long he's made those ultra softs last for. We'll see if he's able to continue his pace. Detainable. Comes around to complete lap 9. 16 seconds down from Smeege. There in the background is his teammate Hayden, who is slowly falling off the back of the other Toro Rosso. Thought for a second he had a puncture on that front right, but no, he does not. Defabe. There's a 23-second gap between himself and Hayden. Caldo. Ooh, there was a big old twitch there. Caldo is just saw him in the background of that shot. A couple of seconds down to the Williams. There he is in 6th position. Big gap to Rienk. 9.5 seconds separates the Williams and the Red Bull. And Timp is absolutely... He's already closed in about 4 seconds, if that timing is to be believed. Timp is absolutely flying. I think Timp is the only one that's been in 3 times. He is indeed. The pit crew obviously not... Oh, and that's what I wondered would happen. He's undone a big old chunk of his hard work. He's still got 5.5 laps to do anything about it, but he's now got it even more to do as the race unfolds. Caldo now getting very close to Defabe. Williams now in DRS range of the Sauber rather. On board with the Williams. And Defabe's gone too deep into 13. That's left the door wide open for Caldo. Thank you very much. I'll have some of that. And on he goes to try and do something about the 24 seconds then to Hayden ahead. 24 seconds in 5 laps. Well, good luck with that. Of course, it's also going to rely on a mistake or a crash from those ahead of him. Timp has already got that gap down to below 10 seconds. He is absolutely flying. Let's have a look at fastest lap. Still in Detaineable's hands at 1:39.4. Timp was the only man to break 1:40 in the last race. Actually, Smeege has done so as well, I just realised, 1:39.8. I think it's going to be fair to say the way that Timp's going, he is likely to try and get the fastest lap again and again. That's the distance to leader. Now it's just 7 seconds between him. I say just 7 seconds, but considering where that gap started, Timp is a man possessed. He set the fastest lap that time? No, it's still 1:39.9. We'll see how he does as time progresses. Hayden gets himself a penalty. Well, that brings him a little bit closer to Coldo. He has actually decreased that gap quite a sizable chunk as well, so Hayden is struggling to keep the pace in the Toro Rosso in 4th position on these Supersoft tyres. Speed still staying in viewing distance at least of Kalon. Four laps to go in the second round here at Singapore. The gap between Smeej and Kalon has stayed fairly even for the last few laps. I expected those Ultrasoft to have died by now. So either they're both taking it easy, which I highly doubt, or they are lasting longer this time than they did last time. Unless people just wanted to get rid of them very quickly. Look at this. I know I keep switching back to last place, but Timp now within 4 seconds of Rienk. Absolutely stunning pace from the McLaren. There, you just saw Rienk actually disappear out of the shot. Almost cut the corner at 20. Jump on board with the McLaren. Ah, we go. I was rather what I was expecting to see. A 1:39.2 then from Timp. Absolutely. I mean, this really is the epitome of never giving up. Considering he's been in twice more than some other people. And this being a 25% race, that is a big old death knell to your race. And still pushing like a crazy man. Which would make for a very intriguing race tomorrow in the Split 1 race, which will also be streamed. Oh, and again the tail of that McLaren getting very lively. Now, is Rienk going to hold him up any? Or is Timp going to find an impossible place to fly past? Okay, that rather answered that question. Rienk flying off the road. Whether he intended to try and allow Timp through and overcooked it, or whether the best of those tyres are gone and he's gone to leave the track a little early, is anyone's guess. He's now back underway. Timp now through, 10.7 seconds between him and Defabe. Kalon now is opening that gap between himself and Smeej. Now 2.4 separates the Red Bull and the Williams. I think it's fair to say the best of the Ultrasofts are gone. A bit of lockup. Whoa! Nice big tank slapper there as Coldo gets himself a penalty again. And lost a bit of time there, as you can imagine. Lost about 3/10. But could be that Kalon doesn't have much left on those Supersofts either. And as we've already seen, one mistake will spell the end of your race pretty dramatically. He's rebuilt that lead again. Penultimate lap then for Kalon. I think it's fair to say that Smeej isn't going to bother coming into the pits now. Coming back to Timp, he's already got that gap down to 7.6 between him and Defabe. Those tyres can't hold on to that pace for much longer, I would have thought. Considering how much that car is sliding around. Absolutely incredible pace from Timp at the moment. Yeah, Smeej is really losing pace now over Kalon. 3.2 separates the Williams and the Red Bull. And I highly doubt Smeej is going to be able to find an answer to Kalon's pace. Kalon started from the front row in this race and has been pretty untouchable since he's gotten into the lead. And on he continues, unchallenged through 14. There you can see the ever-increasing gap between himself and the Williams of Smeege. Now it's through the twisties of Sector 3. 20 and 21. Around the final corner to start the final lap here at Singapore. And then today's stream will be done. Apologies again, ladies and gentlemen, for the delay in the stream coming up and running. A little bit of a technical difficulty and again on that running, but I have recorded the race, so that I will be hosting that on my own YouTube channel, which is in the description for those wishing to see race 1. Okay, now just needs to keep it nice, neat and tidy throughout the final lap, and that victory will be his. Timp is closed into 2 seconds over Defabe. Is he going to be able to claim and pass him as they're coming around 19 through to 21? Oh, I thought the McLaren was sliding a little bit too much there. So they're now beginning the final lap. He's got the pace to do it, but has he got the grip and the tyres to do it is the real question. That's what it looks like for Timp. And Defabe's got himself a 3-second penalty as well. So Tim doesn't have to do the on-track overtake, although I suspect he's going to. Just a quick check on where Kalon is. Not quite at the finish yet. Oh, there's an opportunity for Tim. Oh my goodness me! He didn't even have to wait for the braking zone, and he flew past the Sauber as Rian gets himself a penalty. But to round off his race, it is Kalon taking the win here in Singapore. Smeege had fallen to 4.5 seconds down, but he takes the podium nonetheless. A celebratory wiggle, why not? Well deserved. Detainable. Ooh, looked like he was getting very squirrely through to between 18 and 19. As they now come through the final turns. Detainable taking the last of the podium spots and throws his car into the wall. Why not? Hayden. And 13 seconds down. Hasn't been challenged for a while, and he runs wide at the last, but is going to be pretty comfortable in that 4th position. There is Caldo. Promising early part of this race, but fell away from him at the last. And Timp. Oh, what might have been for the McLaren were it not for his early race woes. Throws it very deep into that last corner. He doesn't care. He's coming across the line in 6th position. Defabe crosses the line in 7. And Rienk continues. Still got some gap to close down. And there it is then. Rienk crosses the line to take 8th and final position here in this race. So only 8 cars making the checkered flag. We did only have a grid of 11 to begin with. And here comes the confirmation then. Oh, here's the podium celebration for the 2nd time. There it is. And imagine it's a pretty well sought after prize winning at the streets of Singapore. Now Kalon to revel in the glory. Why the devil not? That was well deserved. And there it is then, the final confirmed positions. Kalon 1, Smeeze 2, Detainable 3, Hayden 4, Caldo 5, Timp 6, Defabe 7, Riank in 8, Rick Vega, we lost earlier on, he's classified 9th, Cozzy 10 and Poix 11, but the last 3 not finishing, and that brings an end to tonight's stream. And we will get the bugs ironed out, but for now I will bid you a good night, and we will see you back here for more AOR action. The F1 leagues themselves will be back properly tomorrow. Broadcasted here in this channel will be the split ones for Xbox, PS4, and of course PC. And we will see you then. Thank you very much, and good night.